I may have to start my videos out like this because y'all be thinking I'm hating on your program, but I'm not though. I'm just a fan of my program. But Oregon did have their spring game on Friday. Shout out to Big Ten Network for broadcasting all the Big Ten games. You know, SEC Network, they got other sports going on, so they're not broadcasting what's going on with their football teams, even though we know what drives in all those other sports. But Oregon, they looked, you see the guy on the screen, right? I listened to him a little bit. You know, shout out Josh Payton, what he does. The man who dreams of being college football commissioner. I can't deal with it because I think he got a little hate against my program. You know, I think he's gonna diminish us in the beginning of the seasons. Like, you know, when the rankings come out, the top 25 list in the beginning of the seasons, they always put USC in the top 25, even though we don't deserve it some years. But I'll get to your. We here to talk Oregon. I'm gonna get to Oregon. You know, I gotta throw in my program a little bit, but Oregon and USC. That's our biggest rivalry right now since we ended the Notre Dame rivalry, and I'm a USC fan that believes we did end the rivalry, but we were like, hey, we'll play you week 1. We won't play you week 10 because we play Oregon, Indiana, and Ohio State before you guys. So we won't do that. You know, we'll end the 100 year rivalry that's always been a part of college football. It stands toe to toe with Alabama and Auburn. All Ohio State, Michigan, those should be the top three, and now you lost one of them. So you know Lincoln Riley's in there with hey praying to Mike Leach, thinking offense is going to win a championship when he's shown in Oklahoma that it doesn't win championships. So we got Gary Patterson in there. So we'll see what happens with USC. But back to the rivals, the biggest rivalry of all. You know, Oregon fans don't. They be like, "Hey, we beat y'all." I don't. I think it was like what, maybe 7. I don't know when USC's last win against Oregon was, but we need one badly because if not, someone got to go. Okay, and that's first. Then week 3 is gonna get real chippy if he doesn't win that game, and we all know that. So Oregon fans, they probably coming in. Hey, we gonna get a coach fired on week 3, but hopefully not. But you know, spring games they don't really show much of what's going to happen in the season. Evan Stewart had a big day. That's why I previously said spring games don't show a lot because Evan Stewart he had a green jersey on. The green jersey meant he couldn't be touched or he couldn't be tackled. So he was going up, made a lot of crazy catches, but cornerbacks probably hit in the back of their mind that they can't touch this dude, so they're not playing full potential of full 110% effort out there. And then number 6, if you guys watch this game, you know number 6 needs some work. I think it's Noah Whittington. I thought he went to the draft this year, but I'm wrong. Senior, he had a kick return, muffed a punt, and then it got returned for a touchdown. Look a little sus down there, but let's hear what Josh Pate got to say because I know you're gonna ride this Oregon train. So but one thing I gotta say before we gotta do this. If you tune in right now, I thank you so much. It's your first time. But go ahead and do what the YouTubers say. I'm not gonna say it. But if you a rival with my team, you know it's a rival. It's all love at the end, baby. We love the sport. So
At
that's
Oregon,
all I gotta say.
they played a game. Blue skies up in Autzen Stadium. Big crowd up there. I'm going to read you a stat line, Jesse. I want you to tell me who this is. 4 receptions, 110 yards, 1 touchdown. Evan Stewart. People thought he was a ghost, like he didn't exist anymore.
Like I said, oh my god, he's thought he was a ghost. Oh my god. He was untouchable. Did you not play that
No, Evan
part?
Stewart
My
is still
goodness,
very
coming off
real.
an injury. I get
Evan
it. He's
Stewart
coming off injury.
is part of, along with DeCorian Moore and
My
several
God.
others, a group that may end up being one of, if not the best, overall pass catching groups in college football. Hey, check me on this.
Florida got something to say. Tennessee, if they get their quarterback situation figured out, we got something to say with our young guns. I don't know. They got one dude. The other dudes are improving. You know, they got fast dudes because they take the guys from Southern California. You know, that's why Oregon loves us because our logo represents where they take all our players from. So
Did I say Dylan or Evan? I did say Evan, right? I said Evan. Okay, because I got Dylan Stewart later in the show. I've said his name a lot today, and I cannot stand when I'm driving home and only then someone tells me I got a name wrong because it happens about once per show. So, yeah, Pass catching not going to be a problem up
Real, like I feel you, Josh, because doing this stuff, like people want you to memorize the names, like the fans, and I can't do that all the time. If I call you Jake Retzloff or whatever your name is, you get what I'm saying, but I don't know. It could get confusing sometimes. Just doing multiple names, multiple shows.
there.
I
Also,
feel you though. I
defensive
feel you,
line,
Josh.
not going to be a
I'm,
problem.
I'm on your level. I
To the
feel you.
point that if you ask around Oregon, the name they keep mentioning is Aiden Breland. And Aiden Breland is a redshirt sophomore who, I guess, going into spring and maybe even coming out of spring, you would not
Hey, the linebacker though, too, 31 coming from Bellflower, California. I was watching him a little bit. He feisty up in there, had a lot of energy. Shout out number 31. It's not shout out, but yeah, you gonna get muffed by a running backs for sure. But
pencil in their starting four. It's just that Oregon's in this weird situation where just mathematically, you would expect from the production they had last year to lose one or multiples of those guys to either the draft or the portal or something like that. But since it's Oregon, they didn't lose.
oh, Penei Sewell and who else? Huh? Who all pro up in that bit? Huh? I know a USC quarterback that's a Super Bowl winning championship. I know that. Justin Herbert. Hmm. Penei Sewell and who else though? Real question. Can Oregon produce? Can they stay in the league? I mean, I know they can, get to the league and stay there for a couple years, but can we get some all pros? Can we get some Super Bowl winners? What's going on? They ain't big names. We ain't drawing big names in Oregon, are we? I know when we get there, it's all glitz and glamour about the shoes, about the Nikes. But then when you get to the league, it's I already have everything. I feel like Oregon a little bit. They're gonna become the new USC in a way because Oregon, a lot of kids were going there for the Nike, and they haven't won a championship still because of all of their, uniform customizations and the Nikes and things like that. That's what they care about. And USC kind of recruits LA in a sense. It's not about football. So if you're not, in a sense, recruiting like you're selling the kids on something else, then their play for football can diminish. You're not going to get 110%. You might get 90%, 80% out of some dudes because the world at their fingertips right now, getting millions of dollars, getting free clothes. So that's how I kind of feel about USC. Well, USC is about to change that. Chad Bowden, maybe Lincoln Riley changes the defense and things happen, but Dan Lanning and over there, hopefully he's recruiting the right kids and doing it because they don't have a chip. And that's all I got to say about that.
Lose anybody. So they bring back their entire starting four on the defensive line. And so Elijah Rushing, Matt Johnson, like Aiden Breland, those dudes aren't maybe even trotting out there with the ones in week one. And it is an extremely deep.
I'm not liking what I'm seeing from this D line. I'm really not. Let's make this bigger for y'all. Just tune in with me though. Stick with me. I don't know if y'all can see this. Little so you got Bear Alexander from USC. He's improved since he got to Oregon. I mean Oregon, but not dramatically. The dude who I thought could go this year is Mateo. I didn't think Mateo would be returning because he could be a top 10 pick, or he definitely could have been a first round pick this year. So we'll see what happens with him. I don't think he's gonna be an all pro in the league. I think, yeah, like he might be a little small too. Like a Ruben Bain, how they were judging his arm, but I don't think he has a work ethic like a Ruben Bain. I know he's a worker, he's hardworking, but Ruben Bain, he really living up to that last name, man. Like that's a different cat for sure.
Defensive line group. It's an extremely deep pass catching group. They may have the first overall pick in the upcoming draft with Dante Moore. So, offensive line is going to be a question there. And you did them Oregon a
Whatever.
big favor. Special teams look terrible in the spring game.
Yep. Thank
And
you.
so
Thank you. Thank you, Joshy. He hit the
I
points. Okay, he's not riding the
can
wave.
only
He's not riding
assume
the wave.
that Oregon special teams will suck this year until someone proves otherwise.
Yes. See, that's what I was gonna get to too. Offense, defense could look all this, but if you muffin punts, if you missing field goals, that's the key. Those are the things that the game can come down to. The game of inches, man. So gotta work that out.
And
But I
a
love to
good
see
close
it though. I
personal
love
friend
to
of
see. I
Cohen
can't
happens
lie.
to be the special
Love
teams
to
coach
see
up
it.
there. So Joe Lord's just got to do better. Just got to do better. I'd hate to see special teams hold them back. Penn State,
I mean,
less of a spring
I
game,
wouldn't.
more of a
But
practice. Terrible weather.
yeah, man, Penn State, they're dead. Dead in the water. I don't really care about that team. They did James wrong. They should give him another year, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, that's pretty much the spring game was decent. You know, had wide receivers show up and show out. Some corners making some plays. Hey, some holding on the offensive line too. Offensive line needs to get it. Little situation, a little tinks and tacks that need to be worked out for beginning of the season. You know, Dan's probably mad how the special teams looked and some of the penalties that they got. So we'll see what happens. But week 3 is a telling sign for us and for y'all too. So we'll see what happens. Y'all let me know what your thoughts on Oregon, what the win total should be this year. But yeah,